Hey friends, if you are getting value here, please take a moment, like, subscribe, and drop us a review. It's how we keep getting you this great leadership input for free.
Welcome to Confessions of a Terrible Leader, where real leaders share the raw truth about the lessons they learned the hard way so you don't have to. Join our host, Lacey Nelson, founder of Transcend Leadership Collective and former terrible leader. On this podcast, we invite you to step into the confessional and get real with the messy stories and behind-the-scenes reality of leadership. Let's get to it.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Confessions of a Terrible Leader. I'm your host and former terrible leader, Lacey Nelson. I am thrilled to welcome Gina Casazza to the show today. Let me just tell you, this woman is a phenomenal force out there in the world. Her area of expertise is near and dear to our hearts here at the Transcend Leadership Collective. And she is a children's author, a speaker, and founder of the nonprofit Empower Lit. Gina, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
I just have so many questions about how does one get to the point where you are living the dream out there with this amazing children's book that really teaches belonging, and you're out speaking to businesses. But before we dig into that, I want to know, how does one get to this point in life? I think your background is fascinating. Tell our listeners the Cliff's Notes version of how did Gina get here today?
A lot of failure, right? I mean, we're talking about terrible leadership, right? One thing I'll say is leadership is a skill and it's something that you develop, right? And learning how to go through failure is a skill. Also, when you do that, you learn to have no fear. So, because it's like, it's going to happen, right? In some form or another, even like huge businesses, quote unquote failures, right? And it's how you look at
Yeah.
the word failure. For myself, I had a company that I ended, and one would say, "Oh, it failed," and I'd say, "No, it grew." And the thing is that I learned so much from it that I don't consider something a failure. I consider it a lesson, right? And that's what a failure is. It's a lesson. It's just reframing it. So for myself, when I wanted to do stand up comedy, I just went and did stand up comedy, right? It's like,
Love it.
did I bomb on stage? A couple of times. Yeah. Did I have great shows? Yeah, I did. I had more good ones than bad ones, but I didn't allow the fear. Well, at this point, you want people to laugh at you, right? So it's like,
Right.
so like no one's going to laugh or something like that. You get rid of that when you just decide, like with the children's book, I have so many people I do consultations with self published authors
Mm-hmm.
that want to go this route. And they go, I don't know what to do. And I go, neither did I. You just learn, right? And there's so
Yeah.
many things out there. There's YouTube, there's ChatGPT. You could use ChatGPT. It's like, hey, you're a professional author, children's author, you're self published. Give me the steps on what I need to do. All I did was write the book. And then you just
Yeah.
follow the steps, right? So
Yep.
there's so many resources out there, but I think we put an expectation on everything. And that's the
Mm.
problem. That does not give us emotional freedom. If we want emotional
Right.
freedom and just not care and let go and all that stuff, you cannot be tied to an end state. And I used to be tied to an end state, talk about terrible leadership, because I would just assume that it's going to be a bestseller and it's going to
Mm.
sell millions of copies. And every school that I reach out to is going to want to book me because I have this incredible story, right? And that's not the case, right? That's not what
Right.
happens. And when you have that expectation and you get rejected time after time again, you then feel like that failure, right? When you're not tied to an emotion, you put yourself out there, you get rejected, and it's like, okay, I'm just learning. Okay, that
Yes.
didn't work, but this is now going to work, and I'm going to go this route. So it's just the way you frame things and you reframe things that
Yep.
actually help you. And I think that for myself, that talking about that business that I
Yeah.
ended up ending, I hired a coder. It was a web application,
Okay.
mindfulness web application, hired a coder. It didn't go very well. And then I didn't have the funds to rehire someone. So I learned how to code. And the thing is, it's like, how are you going to handle that quote unquote failure, what are you going to do?
Right.
Because, yeah, it took me a really long time. I did hire a tutor to help me in terms of learning. And when listeners are like, well, you must know a little bit. No, I had zero coding background.
Yeah.
When I hired the tutor, he said, what language do you want to code in? And I said, English.
Yeah. That's where you were. Yeah.
And he was like, no, Java, like,
Yeah.
Python. And I'm like, what? Like, I was so
Hmm.
confused. And he was like, oh my God, you're going to code a web app? And we coded a web
Right.
app. So,
That's
I just
amazing.
feel like you just have to you have an idea for something, you have one life. Go and
Yeah.
experience it, see what happens.
I love that. That resonates so deeply with me that just the go for it, get the reps in, and expect quote unquote failure to be part of the rep set. You're not successful unless you're failing.
And it's funny too that you say that because success is so broad, right? I worked for a multi-million dollar celebrity, okay? Like
Mm.
millions and millions of dollars. And would you put her in the happiness category? No. Would you put her
Yeah.
in the success category? Yeah. In terms of what you're thinking in our minds as what success is. And to me, it's you might have this amazing career resume, right? But what
Right.
is your life resume like? Like, what are
Right.
you, how much of your life are you experiencing? Because she was laying in bed, watching TV all day, unhappy, and she
Mm.
might have this amazing resume of a career, but what's the quality of your life? And that's the resume I'm concerned about. And that's what I want to focus on. And to me, that's success. I might have $0 in my bank. Actually, I saw this quote. This one person said this the other day, and I was like, I'm using this. And they
Yeah.
said, I don't want to die with a 401k. I want to die with 401 memories.
Mm.
And that's how I'm like, you take the risk, like
Right.
at the end of the day, and I say this to myself too, because if I don't book a certain number of speakings or schools or whatever, at the end of the day, I can always go and work at Walmart or McDonald's or do something to just pay the bill
Yeah.
to get to the next step and the next step and the next step. Like, there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you working at a job to pay the bills while you're working on your side hustle, right? Or
Oh, yeah.
you want to build a business on. And I think we get too much in the judgment of, oh my God, everyone's laughing at me because I'm doing this or I'm doing like I'm working at McDonald's right now. It's like there's nothing wrong with that as
Right.
you are building your life.
Oh, 100%. And I think one of the things that we always talk about is that your career, if you are lucky, your career can line up with your passions in life. But a better way to think about it is how can whatever you're doing be a vehicle for you to live out what you understand to be purpose or that deep sense of contentment or like this makes me so happy to be doing this. It feels like breathing, like I can't not do it. It's just in me. We really, really encourage people to think about, and when they're working with their staff, framing up, first of all, people aren't going to be with you you're lucky if you get them now for 2.5 years. That's like a long tenure in a workplace. The days of retiring with the company are gone and they're not going to come back. And so, of course, there's outliers for everything. For those of you saying, I know someone, I know you do. There's always outliers, but the norm is very much shifting to like short tenures. And one of the things that can extend that tenure and just make it a better experience for you and the employee while they're with you is helping to feed that deeper sense of purpose and be like, hey, while you're here, I'm going to hold you with an open hand. While you're at this organization, how can we make this a win for both of us? And what is that deeper thing that's like driving you? And how can we look towards creating opportunities for that to be part of what you do here? Even if it's not in your quote unquote like job description what you are hired for. So if you and now we're getting to your topic. I think belonging, everyone, is her book, and is what the core of the book is about. And I want to learn a ton about your story, your literal story. But yeah, I mean, if you have someone who really loves to foster belonging, like there's a million ways outside of someone's job description to allow them to do that at work, and it's going to make it a better place for everyone. Gina, I want to know First of all, introduce us to your main character because he's really cute.
Oh, Cosmo the alien. Yeah.
Yes.
But it wasn't, by the way, it was just supposed to be an alien, like no name, nothing. I wanted
Yeah.
you as the reader to decide on the name, the gender, the planet the alien
Yeah.
came from. Like it was just supposed to be one book. And then it became something else. I have a new book coming out. You really truly are enough with Cosmo. And I
Yeah.
did a naming contest, and my friends' kids named them because their names are Rocket and Cosmo.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they were like, they both agreed. They were like, Cosmo, Cosmo. So, and that was just the win. It was just an amazing, great name. And I was like,
Yeah.
perfect. You just have to be open and see like where
Yeah.
things go. And I had no idea, again, for your listeners, like just like me coding a website, me writing a book was not in the plan of life. It was just
Yeah.
like
How did
me being
you
a
get
children's
there?
author was not in the plan of life. It just
Oh,
happened, you
I
know?
feel how did you get here? Like, how did you go from I had never thought I was going to write a book to now you're writing multiple books? What was that moment like where you went, you know what? I have to write this down. Like, this story has to get into the world. How did that happen?
So funny you say this because it was pretty instant. And I really think that when you have an idea for something, like follow that hunch and it's gonna just kind of flow from you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about it, and then either never act on it or act on it like 10 years later, it's just when it's first there, like feed
Take
that
action.
timber,
Yeah.
And what happened was I was training in a Navy SEAL prep program. The first day of training, I happened to be the only female there, but because the one female that was in the group didn't show up that day. So I felt super out of place in general. Like
Yeah.
the only female there. Everyone looked the same. They were huge. They looked like Spartan warriors. I mean, I did not. I was the worst. So terrible. I couldn't even do a pull up. We were at Santa Monica Beach in California. So it was a public place. It's like,
Man.
you're all
Yes.
watching us. And my
Yes.
brothers were like, you should have a t shirt that says, don't worry, I'm not actually protecting and serving you.
That is a very brother thing.
I was a civilian in the group, and the rest of them were training to be, many of them are all training to be in special forces. And
Yeah.
they were all signed up in the military ready and on that
Same.
pipeline.
Yes.
And here's
Yes.
civilian Gina going, can I join you guys
Yeah.
and hang out? And they said yes. And I was in the program and did not fit in at all.
Yeah.
And I was with them for 2 months. And
Mm-hmm.
the last 2 weeks of training didn't I got better, whereas like I wasn't always dead last, sometimes I
Yeah.
was with the pack. I was like was learning how to do a pull up. I was getting there, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I learned that I'm never gonna fit in with these guys. Like, even
Mm.
if I could do like 10 pull-ups, okay, even if I was in the front, I'm never gonna fit in. And the
Yeah.
reason why is because I stand out. Like when you
Mm-hmm.
line us up, you can't miss me. I'm 5
Right.
feet tall, like, you can't, right? And you're gonna point out the females. It's just a natural, right? You're in
Mm-hmm.
a sea of people.
We sort. Our brains can't help but sort. That's what.
You're gonna
Yep.
exactly, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna fit in at all. And I say this analogy when I speak to children and especially elementary school children. And I say, have you ever played a sport? And they raise their hand and I go, have you ever showed up in the wrong uniform? And they raise their hand and I go, did you still play the game? And they go, yeah. And I go, well, you didn't fit in that day, right? You didn't fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's gonna point you out, no problem. You don't have the same uniform on. It didn't mean that you don't belong to the team.
Right.
And that's what I learned with the Navy SEAL program is as I'm running, I'm like catching up to the group and I'm going, never gonna fit in. And I go, but I belong. Like
Yes.
I still belong here. I still belong with these guys. And I've been showing up every single day. And I've been my authentic self
Yes.
every single time. And I go, and that is true belonging. It's not about fitting in, it's the opposite. And the last week, this is the second week, I learned that. The last week, it's life changing. I'm 31 years old. My whole entire life, I've been feeling like I don't belong. I don't fit in with
Mm.
the group, right? And I feel a little different than everybody else, right? And then finally I realized that was an internal thing at 31. I was like, this is
Yeah.
a Gina thing, right? And
Yeah.
when that shifted, that whole entire week, I went to see my team that last day of training on
Yeah.
Sunday for me because I was moving. And I said, you guys taught me what it truly means to belong. And
Mm.
if 7-year-old me had this lesson, my social skills and my judgment and all these negative thoughts that sometimes paralyze me
Right.
wouldn't have. And
Mm.
I think 7-year-old me would benefit from this. So I am gonna take myself to Joshua Tree tomorrow. This was a Sunday. I said tomorrow,
Mhm.
Monday. And because I left on Wednesday and I said, I'm gonna take myself to Joshua Tree and I'm gonna go write this book. And I did. I went to Joshua Tree Monday and
Yeah.
I wrote the book and I chose Joshua Tree because it's secluded, you know, not
Yeah.
for internet, no distractions, right?
Yeah.
And I wrote the book in 4 hours, just like flowed
Just
out,
poured out of you.
just went out, right? Because the thing
Yeah.
is that it's, and I tell this to the children when I go speak at schools, is I say, what you just read is my story. I mean, I wrote
Mhm.
myself as Cosmo the alien, the one that didn't feel like they belonged, right? And then and it was gonna be it was gonna be little Gina as the main
Mhm.
character, because again, it's my
Mhm.
perspective. But I
Yeah.
was like, no, like so many kids feel this way. So many people, so many adults feel this way. I want them all to relate. And who's the ultimate outsider? An alien,
An
right? Because
alien.
the alien doesn't belong anywhere, right? So I made it in the perspective of the alien, and that's how the book was kind of born. But I wrote it and took me a year and a half to publish it because I decided to try traditional for like 6 months and submit and do all that stuff. I got an editor, then I hired an illustrator. That takes some time. And then throughout the illustrations, I then studied the publishing part of it. Like, what steps are next? What do I need?
Right.
How do I market? And, and then went from there. Did I do it perfectly? No, not at all. However,
Yeah.
it got done, right? Who cares?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and now the second book, I'm going to market differently, but
Uh-huh.
that's how it works.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I'm so fully immersed and I want to buy all the alien books now. It's going to happen. They need to be in my home. And such a powerful, powerful message. The fit in and belonging that you can at the same time not fit in and absolutely belong. I love how you phrase that. I think we like to put it in the binary. It's either or, but it's not. They're not even the same thing.
Not even the same
They're
thing. And I will say,
yeah,
when we're talking about leadership, because, that's the
yeah,
topic, right? We want like diversity, right? We need to understand that I want you to not fit in that diversity aspect of skill set. So I want a
right,
marketer. I want a professional. Like, I want someone that knows accounting. I want somebody that has great connections, good social skills. Like, these skill sets and that these things that you're an expert in is
yes,
so important. And again, like, doesn't mean that you don't belong. You belong to this company. You are so important. You just stand out in that area and that field. And we need that. We need each
right.
person to have like these different skill sets and these different levels, because that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to challenge each other, and that's how we're
Mm-hmm.
going to learn.
Oh, 100%. When you are talking to businesses and business owners, what can we do if we are in a seat of influence? Well, all of us technically are in a seat of influence, but if we're listening to this podcast and you're like, I want to be a leader who fosters, I want to be a person that fosters belonging wherever I go, what can we do practically to create that place where Cosmo's going to belong, even though Cosmo does not fit in? And also, I would challenge if you have the type of team that you need to be surrounded with, you're going to be a team of misfits.
Yeah,
So,
you're gonna be. The thing is, it's gonna be so simple, but it's just leading from the front. It's
tell me more.
you leading from the front, like you being what you want from your team, right? You
Yeah.
want someone that cares about you. You got to care about them. You
Yep.
know, you want a positive environment. Well, you need to be saying positive things, right?
Right.
You want people to be happy and in a good mood. Well, you need to be smiling, right?
Right.
And when people ask me how I'm doing, it's good.
Mhm.
I don't care if it's raining out. I don't care if it's sunny out. I don't care if something happened to me. I want my team to not be affected by anything personal that's happening
Mhm.
in my life. That's a me thing and I'm taking care of me and I'm dealing with it. But I don't want to complain to my team. I don't want to be in a bad mood to my team. And if something's on in my personal life, I don't want it to bleed into my team life.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
you can't have emotions in business. And some people will say you need emotions and emotions are really important and that's great. But for me, I just learned that my emotions sometimes got me in trouble. I get passionate, I get emotional. Like, you can't look at things rationally from an emotion perspective.
Mhm.
And you have to be able to separate that. And for me, as an emotional being, that was always extremely challenging for me.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've really worked hard on and learned. So that way I don't take things personal. That way I can stop for a second. So I really believe like learning to lead from the front. You have to be able to see yourself in order to change yourself. If you
Yes.
can't listen to yourself speak, if you can't watch yourself as you are speaking, all
Mhm.
this stuff, you're never going to be able to change yourself. And then when someone does critique you, you get on the defensive. If you're that type of person that gets on the defensive, it's because you're not allowing yourself to be seen. And I don't think that we should you take criticism with a grain of salt. For my special forces podcast that I have, I show clips of me in the Navy SEAL program. And I get so many negative comments that are just like, you're never going to be a SEAL. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
And I just joke with people. They're like, so pathetic. You can't do a pull up. And I'm like, it was. Now I can do four.
Yeah.
I like make jokes with some of the people and not take it so personally
Right.
because also it's like, I'm out there, I'm doing it. Like, I'm
Right.
failing and I'm allowing myself to fail forward. And that's
Yes.
another thing too. It's like, lead from the front. And when you lead from the front and you be that kind person, you be that caring person, you also take those risks. You be that
Yes.
daring person and be like, hey, I'm going to go out of the box. I'm going to test this out. And you're not going to get down on yourself when you fail because when you're doing something new, you're going to fail, because you
Yes.
don't know what's going to work, it's going to take time. So giving yourself that time to grow. So there's so many things that you could do to promote belonging, but belonging starts within yourself. And if
Mhm.
you're looking to help other people, you need to learn how to help yourself first. And then from
Oh, yeah.
there, you're going to be able to help your team. So if you're,
Yep.
and again, it starts with awareness and being the person you want to be. And that's what's going to happen. The moment I learned about belonging and I learned that it was right here in my heart, everything around me shifted.
Yeah.
And I just was able to jump into groups more and not feel like a wallflower. Like I was able to just be like, hi, I'm Gina, and all this stuff and get out of my head and get out of judgment because
Yep.
it's like, you know what? I know I'm going to be bad. My first day, I started a keto and I was like, I walked in like, "Hi, I'm Gina, I'm here for this," ready to fail because I knew that, like, I knew nothing about a keto. I still don't, a year
Yeah.
later, but I am learning and I'm growing, and you have to allow yourself to know that we all start at the bottom, and you have
Right.
to just not see yourself as, oh, this Olympic athlete right away.
Right? And I think it's such a powerful reminder that when we go out and lead from the front in that way and fail and our whole team is watching, it's giving them permission to do the same thing and to be bold and to take risks. And not only is it going to help them on their personal journey, it's going to impact your bottom line because innovation can't happen if people do not feel like it is safe to fail.
Yes, they can't, and I get it, like, there are mistakes that are just there are consequences for certain
Yes.
mistakes.
Right.
However, those are not the mistakes that I know you're talking about because some
Correct.
people they take it literally or they take it a little bit wrong. You make a mistake, you have this meeting, you have this, you have
Yep.
that. You're failing in that aspect versus a risk. You know that there's going to be some failure and you also
Yes.
want to minimize that risk. You want to also assess, okay, well, what if this goes wrong? What if this
Yep.
supplier, I went with this new supplier? What happens if this, and this doesn't happen? Like right now, I'm
Right.
working on this with my illustrator. I hired an illustrator for my first book, hired the same illustrator. She's not from the USA and sent her the half of the payment and haven't heard from her in like 2 months. And like the
Mm.
first month, I get it, holiday time, then she was not feeling good. And I go, okay, I'm going to give her some time. And a month later, I'm like, I should have got sketch. I should have got stuff by
Yeah.
now. And then I start contacting and then it goes dark. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
I can't get in touch with her. I don't know where, all these emotions come out, especially when we're dealing with someone overseas, right? So a lot of my manufacturers are in China and you deal with this stuff and you have to know the risks and the costs. Okay, well, I did this. How am I protecting myself here?
Yep.
Okay, well, I did do a protection payment plan so I can get this back. I didn't do the protection payment plan. Okay, here's my next illustrator I'm going to go to. This is what I'd be losing. Well, in the military, they call it a PACE plan. You know, you have the
Mm-hmm.
primary, the alternate, the contingency, the
Yep.
emergency. And then they also call it a murder board. So you literally murder board and see everything that could possibly go wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not going to see things. And hey, you just didn't see it. You just learn from it, and that's okay. But I always say this one line when people like get overwhelmed and stress happens, I just stop and I go, nobody is shooting at me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. Like, nobody is shooting at me. Like, it's not that stressful. It's
Right.
okay. We're gonna figure it out,
Yes.
and move on from there. And a lot of times I say to myself, okay, I lost $1,500. I go, it wasn't 1,600. Like, that's all
Yes. Yes.
I gotta like put it in that perspective. Okay, like I just lost $60,000
Yep.
in products. Okay, well, it wasn't 61. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. We'll get it back. I
We'll
mean,
move forward. Yep.
you move forward, and it's only a waste if you don't learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. You are fascinating, Gina. You contain multitudes. There's so much to your story. I feel like we
Thank
have
you.
just scratched the surface today. I want to, though, open up the door to the confessional and invite you in to share with us your story and your amazing journey of life. What is one of the areas where you had a learning opportunity and you look back and go, man, I learned a lot from this. Boy, would I not do it the same way again if with similar circumstances. What do you have to share with us today?
It's the emotional. I'll tell you, any leadership story of mine that's negative comes from my reaction and
Tell us.
my emotionalness where I lose it. And not like my fighter
Yep,
comes
you
out.
fight kicks in.
Let's see if I could share in this one recently. Company
Okay.
that I've been working on. I launched this company and I did not know this, that we violated someone's IP and trademark.
Mm,
I didn't know.
mhm.
7 days into the launch, we're doing very well in sales. It's going forward. And then we get this letter from a lawyer. I go, okay, what's this? And I have a partner, thank goodness. I will say, like, having somebody else like helps because
Yeah.
it's just me, it's a different story. And so my partner's a male and he's more level headed than I am. And I go, what's going on? He goes, just continue with business right now and we'll move forward. And I go, okay. So then I did. Then the lawyer messaged us again, like, you're not responding to us. You're still continuing with business, all this stuff. So then I go, what's next? And then he was like, let's stop everything, consult some lawyers, and we'll go from there. And I go, okay. While this happening, I am like being my own little lawyer. And I'm like
Yeah.
looking stuff up and I'm talking to all these like people that I know that have successful multi-million dollar businesses and asking them all these questions. I'm talking to some lawyers too. And I'm like, but I don't understand. We have the trademark and this and that. And I'm like getting like riled up
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm ready for the fight.
Yep.
I'm ready for this fight with
Yep.
this lawyer, right? And
Yes.
and the thing is I think like having that fight is important and crucial,
Yes.
but but you have to take the emotion out of it and not be so tied to that because for myself, like I'm pacing, I am like as I'm on the phone, like you get like into it. Like
Oh,
it's like right
you're
before the
completely
boxing match.
your central nervous system is completely dysregulated.
It's completely. And the thing is that you sound rational to you, but you're not rational to the outside world, right? You sound rational. And I'm like, no, but like I'm calm. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Like, I'm calm. What do you mean I'm calm? And you're not calm, right? And you're like revved up because you're so passionate. And then
Yep.
obviously you have to stop sales. You have to stop everything. I mean, you don't have to. We chose to out of good faith, right?
Mhm.
And we made some changes and all this stuff. But like it took me like a day or two, which by the way is really good compared to like my past, to just be like, okay, like I'm
Yeah.
gonna see it from this perspective. I'm gonna see what steps can I do to help our team, help us move forward,
Right.
to not lose as much money as we are already losing in this moment, right?
Yep.
And take the necessary steps that we need because me being emotional and saying that I'm right when it doesn't matter about who's right. In a court of law, it's who has the most money and they have a lot of it. So you have to be able to realize and look at the reality of the situation. Actually, today's episode on my podcast, the guest that we had, he incredible story, but he said, hear the diagnosis, but don't accept the prognosis, something like that. So it's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
okay, understand the reality. That is not law, right?
Yep.
And you have in order to do that, stop being so emotional. So as I'm talking to everybody and I'm trying to be right, that was the problem. You can't be right. You have to be truthful and you have to understand the truth. You violated someone's IP. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether you think you did or you didn't, that is the truth, okay? It's not about being right, it's what's
Right.
truthful, right?
What
And then it goes,
happened? Yep.
okay, yeah. And then it goes, and you being emotional is not helping the situation, right?
Right.
In any way, shape, or form, because nobody wants to talk to you, right? At all
Yeah.
when you're in this state. And you have to like pull back and be like, okay, like, why am I getting so emotional? What's going on here? And all this stuff. And how can I stop? And then
Yep.
I had to do that. And I took a step back. I did some breathing. I talked to a few people that I said, okay, what can I do?
Yeah.
And what is the reality of the situation and where can we go from there? And that's what we
Yes.
did. And it was funny because I'm talking to my co-founder and the following day after all this kind of happened, and I'm like calm, cool, and collected. And he is,
Yeah.
what happened? And I'm
Yeah.
like, he was like, who are you? And I'm like, I just decided that there's no point in like just accept the reality, understand I'm not accepting it. I'm understanding
Yes.
the reality for what it is. And I am taking the emotion out of it when dealing with this and just taking it one step at a time. I'm doing what's in my control and then
Yep.
I'm seeing what's out of my control and seeing where it goes because there's only so much I can do. If you needed something from me, like I talked to somebody for the nonprofit and they were like, I need you to get me a budget. I need you to get me this. I need you to get me that. Can we have it by the end of February? And I go, you'll have it by the end of today. And he was like, what? I go, my schedule is cleared. I'll have it by the end of today. No problem. And that the thing is that I deliver that and then I'm waiting on them. Right.
Right.
And I'm like, but I was so fast. And that's the thing. Like, I realized like my emotions sometimes are so like this that the world can't catch up to you. Right.
Yep.
And you also have to know, like, I did what was in my control. I got him
Yep.
what he needed. What is out of my control is his response. Right.
Right. Right.
And his time and all that stuff. So I get revved up sometimes, but I've been reeling it in. And I will say, like, I'm excited for the next opportunity in life for my emotions to rile up because I feel like I'm at the point where it may only rev up for an hour or two. That was only a
Yes.
2-day rev up. That was like, whoa. So now I feel like I'm going to go to a day rev up and then like
Yeah.
no rev up, So
Yes.
the thing
Yes.
is that like I'm excited for that next moment
Yeah.
because that's how I go, "Oh, I learned. Oh, I grew. Oh, I understood. I caught that." So,
Yes.
I get it. We're emotional. We're passionate about something when we're tied to an outcome, all this stuff.
Yep.
It's like, again, no one's shooting at us, right? It's okay.
Right.
It's okay.
Such an important lesson. I think I don't think I know some of my very worst business decisions have been made when I made them in a state of total dysregulation and freak out and then stuck. Once I came back down going, what did I
What
do?
I do.
And now I'm cleaning up and paying for this bad decision because I made it in a state where I wasn't able to engage my frontal cortex and be rational.
No, no, and I think that it's key, like, when I trained with the Navy SEAL, we didn't just do physical, like, we did classes that were, brain chemistry. So we took
Yes.
classes that were all about brain chemistry, and he said, "When you're in this state, here are the things that are gonna do that's gonna open up your prefrontal cortex, and activate
Yep.
all, your parasympathetic nervous system." So he was like, "Clean," and he was like, "Go for a run," and then he said all this stuff, and I then started to do that, and I was like, "You know
Yeah.
what? I'm revving up. I'm acting up. Let me go separate for a second, let me write things down and do all the stuff that's going to help you because sometimes you have 0.3 seconds, not a lot of time, not even a second before you're in reaction mode, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a lot of time. You have to really know yourself in order to catch
Yes.
yourself. And for myself, this is what I am working on, right? And I said
Yes.
earlier in the show, in order for you to change you, you have to see you and you have to hear you. So I have to be aware of me. I relish when these moments pop up because I'm able to be like, hey, you're hitting it, you're emotional, back it up,
Yes.
and then I go, this is how I learn. You learn
Yes.
through repetition. Like we said, leadership is a skill.
Yep.
All this is a skill set. You're not born with it, you're learning from it.
Absolutely. Do you know what? A fantastic conversation. So many takeaways in here. I hope listeners, you are scribbling notes. I was taking some for myself personally. Wonderful conversation. Where can people find you? We will drop all of your links in our
Yeah.
show notes. Where's the best place to go to get connected?
GinaCasazza.com is like the best place for you to contact me. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to contact me. The best way is through the website.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. What a great conversation. Loved it. Love the energy. I can't wait to meet Cosmo and continue to follow all this great work, and the doors that story's opening for you are just amazing. So
Thank
thank
you for
you.
having me.
Yes, absolutely. Listeners, until next time, go manage like a leader.
Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Terrible Leader. If you're feeling brave and have your own terrible leader story that you'd like to share, head over to transcendleadershipcollective.com/podcast to fill out a guest application. We'd love to hear from you. Confessions of a Terrible Leader is hosted by Lacey Nelson and produced and edited by Fixation Point Productions. Music is by Leif Olson and Mary Scott from the band The Number of Months. Confessions of a Terrible Leader is a free leadership resource offered by Transcend Leadership Collective. If you are ready to refuse the limits of average leadership and join the leadership revolution, visit transcendleadershipcollective.com to check out our offerings for engaging workshops, strategic planning, and more. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And until next time, go manage like a leader.